We are now recording. So welcome to the first class of weekly online classes for the winter. And I want to remind you that as you practice yoga, to please listen to your body. And if there's anything that doesn't feel good, please modify for yourself. If you're not sure, then maybe skip what we're doing or try something else on your own that you know works for you. And if you have bigger concerns, like you're just not sure in general whether this is right for you, then I would definitely recommend that you talk to your doctor about the concerns that you have and let them know what we're doing in the class and if that's appropriate for you. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself anytime, or you can wait until the end of the session. And at the end of the session, I will always turn off the video and give you a chance to ask your questions a little bit more privately. So you can save them up till the end, or you can ask at any time. So it's a new year. It's a brand new session for 2019. And our theme is letting go. So many of us make New Year's resolutions as to what we want to bring into our lives, and that's all fine and dandy, but if our lives are full and we're holding on to things that are no longer serving us in our lives, then it's difficult to start something new with an open heart and with confidence. So I thought for a new year we could focus on the idea of letting go of what's in the past, letting go of what no longer serves us, so that we can start fresh. We can start with a fresh blank slate for 2019 and allow those things that really nourish us and really serve us to come into our lives. And the only way that we can really make space is if we let go. And letting go is sometimes challenging. Right? We've held on to these beliefs or ideas or people or situations because they serve us in some way. So letting go is not an event. It's not something that we say, okay, I put that down, I let it go. It may be that we keep letting it go over and over and over. And that could be anything. You know, a lot of folks have a hard time with obsessive thinking. So letting go of that might be your practice today. So physically, our practice is going to be quite a simple one. We're going to work on rotating the joints and getting some movement and fluid into the joints through that movement, and working with the spine in various ways that it moves. So basically kind of getting back into our bodies. Many of you may have taken a break from doing yoga over the holidays. So just getting back into things and feeling where we're at and really tuning into what's present for us in each moment. All right, so we're going to start the practice with a little bit of breath work. So you can sit, or if you prefer, you can stand. You're welcome to lie down as well for this part. Just you want to make sure that you don't fall asleep. So wherever you are, if you're comfortable closing your eyes, and I'm just going to take a seat right here. So you're welcome to close your eyes and tune into yourself. Feel your body in the space that you're in. So you might be aware of the air around you. You might be aware of the ground beneath you. Just tuning into your physical presence. Check in with the temperature of your body. Do you feel comfortable, warm, cold, somewhere in between? When we think about the theme of letting go, and if we were to relate it to the breath, the phase of the breath where we let go is the exhalation. And if we use that as a metaphor for life, every time we let go, we let the breath go, we're making space for the next breath to come in. We can't just keep inhaling. Just like life, we can't just take things in more and more and more. We need to let go. Or we can't just keep eating. We need to let go of the food that we've eaten yesterday, the day before. So this idea that we're always renewing, we're letting go, we're bringing in, we're letting go, bringing in, and the breath is a perfect metaphor for that. So tune into your breath now. Feel a sense as you exhale that you could let go of some of the tension in your body. Maybe your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Maybe your hands soften a little bit. Feel your jaw release. You can even move it around a bit if that's helpful. Feel any tension in your abdomen and see if you can soften that. And as I mentioned earlier, this process of letting go can take some time. So if you've been holding tension in various places in your body for your whole life, just taking one exhale and inviting release may not be enough. It may be several times of asking your body to soften and let go. So let's tune into the inhale now. So we've let go, we've made space, and let's take a few deeper breaths now, inviting a little more energy into the body. So as we focus on the inhale, it's kind of like putting the gas pedal on our energy. Activates the sympathetic nervous system and creates a little more energizing in the system. And as we exhale, the opposite. So when we're really in our breath, there's this real balancing effect of the inhale and exhale on the nervous system, creating a sense of balance and hopefully a little more peace in our heads and hearts. So when you feel ready to move, if you're sitting or standing, you can come to your mat and lie down. And I'm going to head over to my mat and lie down. And this chair, since it's now right in the way. So I hope you can all see me okay here. I tried to cover up some of the windows so the light wasn't too glaring. So you're going to come to lie down on your mat. So again, if you have trouble seeing or hearing me, the best thing to do is unmute your microphone and say something, because right now I'm not looking at the screen, can't see it so well, so I'm not sure if you're sending me a chat or anything, so unmute your mic if you need to talk to me. So let's take the arms and stretch them up in the air towards the ceiling. Palms face each other, about shoulder distance apart. And you're going to reach your fingertips up toward the ceiling so you feel your shoulder blades move away from the ground. Try to keep your jaw as relaxed as possible as you do this. And then let your shoulder blades sink back down to the earth. So reach up, and you can inhale into the space between your shoulder blades as you lift up, and exhale, let the shoulder blades sink down. So lifting up with a breath in, sinking down with an exhale. And continue that a couple more times. And then you can allow the arms to stretch out to the sides along the ground. Palms face the ceiling, stretch the hands wide and reach the fingertips away from each other. Feel a little bit of stretch perhaps up your arms. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, cross your arms over your chest, bringing your hands to opposite shoulders. And pause there for a couple of breaths. See if you can feel a bit of breath moving into the back of your body here. Notice which arm is on top as you release. So take a breath in and spread the arms wide again. And then as you exhale, take the other arm and bring it over top. And again, give yourself a little hug. And take a few breaths. Softening and sinking down. Inhale into the space between your shoulder blades. And then again, stretch the arms wide. Reach the hands wide. Reach the fingertips away from each other. Feel your arms. Feel what's present, what's alive in your arms, chest, shoulders right now. And then let's lift the arms toward the ceiling again and do some circles for the wrists, circling the wrists. You can try this either with your hands open or gentle fists, and you can circle one way and then the other. And then stretch the fingers wide with the palms of your hands facing away from your face now. And extend the arms straight up overhead toward the floor. Breathing in as you lift the arms up. You don't have to come to the floor. And then exhale as the arms come down. You're inhaling and extending the arms overhead. Move at your own pace. And if you find that coordinating the breath with the movement is uncomfortable or feels awkward or creates any strain for you, just breathe normally and do the movement at a pace that feels comfortable to you. We always prioritize ease in the breath rather than any kind of particular technique or moving with the breath. The next time the arms are coming down, let's bring the right knee into the chest. And give your right knee a little bit of a hug. Take a few breaths, exhaling. Feel yourself soften through the lower back. And the knees settle in towards the body. We'll start to work with the joints of the lower body now. So you can either keep the hands on the leg and tuck them behind your thigh, or you can let the hands rest on the ground for this next movement, whatever feels better for you. And we'll simply straighten and bend that leg. So reaching the leg toward the ceiling and bending it in toward the chest. And by straightening the leg does not mean it has to be straight, just moving in that direction. And going at your own pace. You can flex the foot as you reach up and gently point the toes as you come down. If you're coordinating the breath, inhale up, exhale down. And then at any point that you want to stay in that stretch, you can stay there and circle your ankle around. If it feels better for you, if you feel tight in the legs, in this particular leg so far, you can keep moving dynamically to try to bring some ease. Otherwise, circle the ankle both directions. If you feel like you're bringing tension into your neck and shoulders and you're holding onto the leg, you might let go. And then relax your foot, your ankle, your leg, and give it a little shake. And then knee back into the chest. You can bring the hands around the knee and give a squeeze in. And here you have the option, if you'd like, to stretch the left leg straight out on the ground. And if you choose to straighten that leg, keep it active. So keep the heel pressing down, toes pointing toward the ceiling, legs strong. And we'll do a little bit of movement for the right hip. So you might want to take your left hand away from the hip and maybe make some little circles with your knee, circling into the hip. Or you can move the leg side to side if you like. If you want to make a bigger circle, you might let the hands slide away from the knee as you move. You might tune into where you feel tight in that hip. Gently move into that tightness with your movement. Both directions, big circles, little circles, whatever feels good. And then bring the knee back in, give it a little squeeze, and release your foot to the floor. You might want to bend both knees for a moment. Lift the hips a couple of inches and bring them down so you're feeling like your hips and your low back are aligned after doing the one side. And then stretch your legs out for a moment if that's comfortable for you. If you prefer to keep them bent, that's fine as well. If you stretch your legs out, let your feet fall away to the sides. You can let the hands rest on your body or on the floor. And take a few breaths here to notice the difference between your right hip and your left hip. Your right knee and your left knee. Your right ankle and your left ankle. So we've moved all of those joints in a range of motion on the right side, but not so much on the left side. So can you feel the difference? And then let's take a big breath in, and as you exhale, feel yourself let go. Let go of whatever you discovered on the right side. Let go of holding or tension anywhere in the body to the extent that it's available to you. And let go of whatever no longer serves you in your life. Could you imagine having a life where everything that you chose was something that served you, helped you move towards your highest good? When we let go of what no longer serves us, we make space for that potential, that possibility. Let's bend both knees again. As you do that, tune into what happens with your lower back, and if you need to lift the hips and adjust a little bit to get comfortable here, go ahead. And then we'll take the left knee, bring it into the chest, and you can bring your hands around the shin or behind the thigh if you like. Take a few breaths, feeling your hip flexors in the front of the hip soften to draw that knee in. Feel a little stretch maybe in the back of the hip. Excuse me. So start working with the joint of the knee, bringing the hands behind the thigh, or you can release the hands if that's more comfortable for you. Some people find that holding the leg creates tension in the neck and shoulders, but others feel that holding the leg gives it a better stretch. So as you prefer, straightening the leg with the breath in if you're coordinating breath, bending the knee as you exhale. Again, you could flex the ankle, turn the toes toward your face as you lift the leg, and then relax, or you can point the toes as you exhale and roll the knee in. Continue at your own pace. And then at some point, as the leg is up in the air, if it feels comfortable to stay there for a bit, you can stay. Either continuing to hold the leg if you're holding, or let go. Circle your ankle. Try to move slowly and really tune into what you feel. So the more we tune into what's present in each moment, the less we're living in the past and future, and the more a sense of peace of mind becomes available to us. After circling both directions, you might relax the foot and give the leg a little bit of a shake. And then bring the knee back into the chest. Give a little squeeze here. And again, if you find that it's comfortable enough to straighten the right leg on the ground, you can go ahead and straighten that leg. And if it feels a strain in the hip or the low back or anywhere else, go ahead and bend that knee. So right leg, if you've straightened it, is active. Heel pressing down, toes pointing to the ceiling. Leg long, reaching from the hip to the heel. And then you can start making some movements with that leg. So you can move the knee side to side. You might want to take the right hand off the leg at this point and just use the left hand to guide the leg. Side to side, or little circles, or it could be figure eights, or zigging and zagging. Finding the areas where your hip feels like it needs some movement and getting into that space through your movement. Again, if you want a bigger circle, you can let the hands slide away from the knee as you circle around. And then we'll gradually come back to the center. You can release your foot to the floor. Bend the right knee. Again, you might lift the hips an inch or two and bring the spine down, hips down in a way that feels a little bit more aligned, perhaps, to you. And then you can either keep the knees bent, maybe shuffle the feet apart, let the knees fall together, or if it's more comfortable, let your legs extend on the ground. Hands can be on the body or on the floor. And we'll take a few breaths here to feel That sense of letting go with the breath again. Exhale, soften, sink down. Whatever no longer serves you, imagine letting it go. If there's something in particular that you want to let go of, you might imagine as you exhale, letting that go, just feeling it wash away from you as if it's going out into the ocean, being carried out to sea. Try not to get stuck in your story of making plans of how you're going to let that person, that job, that whatever it is go. Just have a vision of releasing what no longer serves you. Creating space for the unknown possibilities. Let's bring the knees into the chest. Bring one hand to each knee and move the knees away from your body as you take a breath in. And then draw the knees towards your body as you exhale. And again, coordinating the breath is optional. Breathing, of course, is not optional. So you can either breathe freely and do the movement at a comfortable pace, or coordinate, inhale the knees away, and exhale the knees in. Continue that movement for a few more rounds. And then when you feel complete with that, you can bring your feet back to the floor. And stack your knees over your ankles, preparing for bridge pose. I think all of you are probably familiar with bridge pose, at least the ones who are live on the call today. Bridge is where we lift and lower the hips. You can let the arms come a little bit away from the body and relax the shoulders and arms on the ground as much as possible. And then take a breath in and exhale. Put a little bit of pressure into your feet until you feel your lower back sink into the mat. And then in the most relaxed way possible, press a little more into the feet and allow the hips to slowly lift. You can take a few breaths to lift the hips here. And then when you come as high as you feel comfortable, you'll slowly lower down as well. And again, you can take several breaths to lower down. If you want to do the usual breath pattern of inhale up, exhale down, that's fine. If you want to take your time a little more and take more than one breath to lift and lower, then feel free to explore that option as well. Keeping the throat, the neck, the jaw, the face, shoulders, arms, just relax. The legs do the work, and then either choose to stay in the pose for a few breaths or perhaps keep moving dynamically, or if you've had enough, come down and rest. And when you're staying, again, really focus on the upper body relaxing while the lower body holds the integrity of the pose. You might think about knees moving away from collarbones and lengthening the top line of your body. When you're ready to come down, you might take a big breath in at the top and then exhale, slowly release the spine down. Feel that sense of letting go of the effort of the pose as you come down. Let the hips rest on the ground. Take a few breaths. And yourself let go of the effort of the pose. Your body a blank slate for the next pose to come. Before we do the next pose, well, it is the next pose really, but counter pose to the last one. We'll bring the knees into the chest. You can repeat the movement we did a little bit earlier, moving the knees in and out if you like, or if you want a little bit more movement here, you could stretch the legs to the ceiling and the hands to the floor behind you or out to your sides if that's better for your shoulders. And then knees back to the chest, hands to the knees. So you'd be inhaling as you extend the arms and legs, exhaling as you bring them in. And then, And release your feet. More movement here. And twist. Before this twist, you can have your feet on the floor either close together. And that's going to be a little bit more twisting the spine. Twist apart, but the distance is to concentrate without moving into the chest. Or you could do this with the knees to the chest. You can use either one at a time, the side, or both together. And that's going to work a little bit more. So whichever version you prefer, the breath would be the same. You're coordinating the breath. You're exhaling to the side, but like the opposite direction. And then you're inhaling to center. Exhaling to the other side. Inhaling to center. Continue that movement. Feel around. And then come back to the center. One more time before we change positions. Let's hug your knees in. And any movement that would feel good. So you might rock a little bit here, side to side. You might repeat one of the two movements we've done already, knees in and out, or extending the arms and legs and then bringing it to the center again. That could be some circles and combination. Massaging the lower back and the hips, bringing the body back to some kind of symmetry after twisting. Give yourself a hug. Squeeze the knees in as much as is comfortable. Knees apart. If you feel like you're having a hard time breathing as you squeeze in. One more big breath and let go as you exhale. And then lower the feet to the floor. We're going to change positions to come to all fours, so you can roll first onto your side. If you like, you can roll up if that's comfortable for you, or roll to your side and use your hand on the floor to help support you to come upright. And then coming onto all fours, and if you happen to have props with you, and I know not all of you will, you might want to take a set of blocks and bring them toward the front of your mat. And depending on how your knees feel, if you have a blanket handy, you may want to tuck that underneath your knees so that your knees have some cushioning. And you'll come down onto all fours, and on all fours you want to center your hands underneath your shoulders and have the fingers gently spread, and you're pressing into the heel of your hand evenly. So across the heel of your hand from the pinky side to the thumb side, and pressing the fingertips into the ground gently. Knees are under the hips. Your toes can be tucked under or your feet flat, whatever is more comfortable for you. Cat, cow, you're inhaling. Draw the shoulders back, even bend the arms a little, chest forward. Head lifts in line with the spine, and then rounding your back, tuck your chin in. And here we let the back of the neck lengthen. I just ate the microphone. Inhale, arching or extending the spine, pulling back a little with the hands and chest forward, and then exhaling, rounding. A couple more like that, at your own pace. If you want a little bit deeper stretch on the exhale, feel free to move into child's pose. And if you're feeling a little more energetic and want a bit more stretch, you can alternate in downward dog. So you might inhale to all fours, exhale child's pose, then inhale all fours and exhale downward dog. Continue at your own pace. And then come back to center. And if child's pose is comfortable for you, send your hips back towards your heels. And if you feel that it's a little bit compressed in the belly, you might take your knees apart, and you can either come down onto your elbows, or you might take a block under your head, or your hands under your head, or the head could rest right on the ground if that's available to you. Child's pose is another good position to come back to our theme of letting go. Child's pose tends to be a pose that's focused on the exhale because of that compression of the body. It's easier to exhale than it is to inhale in this pose. So if you're staying in child's pose, and if not, keep moving. If it's not comfortable to stay, totally fine, keep moving. But if you're staying, focus on that sense of where can I soften and let go of tension here. And as you're ready, let's make our way back up to all fours. We'll do a little side-to-side movement. So as you move your hips to one side, turn your head, look over your shoulder, see if you can see your hips on that side. And then try the other way. So wag your tail, look over your shoulder. Wag your tail, look over your shoulder. Don't worry about how you're breathing. So just make sure you are breathing. And then let's come back to the center. If you have blocks and you find it helpful to use them to step forward from either kneeling or downward dog, you can bring your blocks under your hands. If you don't feel like that's helpful or necessary for you, then skip the blocks. And if the blocks don't help and you still can't step forward, then you're going to find your own way to get your left foot forward on the mat, somewhere near the space between your hands. From there, and you can do this from downward dog if that's available to you as well. So that would look more like lifting up first and then stepping forward. So left foot is between your hands or blocks. Right foot you can step maybe a little forward if you've come from downward dog. Turn your foot out to the side enough so that your full foot can be on the ground. And then take your hands and bring them up onto your front knee. Front knee is bent over the ankle, and then you're pressing into the back foot to feel a stretch in the calf. If you don't feel much stretch, you might step the foot back a little further and keep pressing that heel in towards the ground. From here, we'll lift up into Warrior One. And as you lift up, think about the pelvis coming a little bit more level as you lift, so it's not overarching in the lower back. Belly is moving back. Back hip is moving slightly forward. Forward hip can move slightly back to square the hips, and then take the arms and lift them overhead. Notice if your lower rib cage tends to really stick out and your lower back tends to be very arched, and think about bringing the ribs and hips slightly together in the front. So you're engaging the core a little bit. Find lots of space between the ribs and hips in the front and the back of your body. Notice if your shoulders are up by your ears, and bring them down. And then from here, we can move dynamically, moving forward, either hands to knee or shin, blocks, or floor. You might move the front leg a little straighter and let your head come down. And then come up, bending the front knee, lifting the arms, lifting the torso. And then exhale, moving forward maybe, moving that front leg straighter. Bending the knee, lifting up. Tail forward. As you come forward this time, stay a few breaths. Try to let your head release. This is one of the biggest things I notice when I'm teaching actual people in the room, is there's a tendency to look forward, look towards the floor, look in front of you. There's nothing to see. Let your head go. It's a natural human tendency to want to see what's in front of us. Relax your head and neck. We're going to switch sides now. So if you want to switch by stepping back to downward dog, you can do that. And if you want to switch by stepping forward, this is the easier option. You can bring your right foot forward. Whether you end up in downward dog or forward bend, take a couple of breaths there. If you're in the forward bend or downward dog, good idea to keep the knees a little bent, the spine long. And then either step forward or back so that your right foot is forward and your left foot is back, turned out with the foot slightly to the side. So the full foot can be on the ground. When you're ready, bring your hands up onto your front knee. Press down into the back heel. Front knee over the ankle. And imagine a long line, a straight line, more or less, from the back heel to the crown of your head. So you're not bent over, but really finding lots of space and length in the body here. Okay, when you feel ready to move from this position, you can slowly lift your upper body and arms. Again, shoulders sink down. You want to think about that back hip moving slightly forward, belly moving slightly back. And when the arms are lifted, you want to keep a softness in the shoulders. So even bending the elbows is fine here. Prioritize keeping the shoulders and neck relaxed over straight arms. And then you can start to add the forward bend, either coming down to the knee or the blocks or the floor, and then lifting back up. Inhale as you come up. Exhale, forward. You might move the leg a little straighter as you come forward if that's comfortable. And remember about your head and neck releasing every single time. You could stay for a few breaths in the forward bend if you're comfortable there. Maybe moving the front leg straighter, but not so much that it feels like a strain. Another option could be hands on the knees or hands on the knee. Whatever feels best to you. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way to the forward bend. So stepping the left foot forward, coming to Uttanasana, the forward bend. Bring your hands to your shins or knees and come about halfway up with the breath in. And then exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees a little. You might cross your arms if that's comfortable and let your body hang out here. Another option is forearms or elbows on the thighs or hands on the knees. And keep your knees bent, and that helps to keep your low back long. When you're ready to come up, come to a flat position with your back first, about halfway up, and then lift the arms to come all the way up. Breathing in, and then exhaling to release. So now we should all be upright and in Tadasana, which is mountain pose. So you want to have your feet about hip distance apart, and that's the bones of your hips, not the outside of your hips, in which case my feet would be more like this. So we're going to align the bones up. Feel the heels sink down into the mat. Arms release down, chest open and wide, collarbones wide. Not stiff and rigid, so find an ease in your body. You can give it a little wiggle and let go. And let's take a few breaths in this position to return to our theme. Breathing in, and then as you exhale, feel your heels sink down. And imagine whatever it is that no longer serves you, either something specific or just a general letting go. As you breathe out, imagine that releasing from you, whatever that might be. Lift your shoulders, roll them back and down. Inhale and exhale down. And then come back to the center. And you can take your feet a little bit wider here. Maybe bring your hands to your hips and do a few circles to release the hips. don't know if the microphone's picking up the hip cracks, but those of you who've been in classes with me know that that's pretty standard when I start circling my hips. Maybe that's happening for you as well. As long as it's not painful, it's fine. Those joint cracks are just air releasing in the joints, but when it's grinding or painful, that's when you want to get it looked at, see what's actually going on in there. Okay, let's come back to the center and release the arms to the sides. Keep your knees soft so they're not locked, and feet more or less parallel, pointing forward. We'll work with a little bit of a side bend here. So take one arm up, breathing in, and then exhale, reaching over to the side. And then inhale, come up and switch arms. Exhale, release to the other side. Inhale, come up and switch. And exhale, move into your side bend. Inhale, lift and switch. Continue a few more times at your own pace, and you can either keep moving after you've done a couple more, or you might choose to stay for a few breaths. And if you're staying, think about lengthening on both sides. So not just the side that's growing obviously longer, but try not to collapse the inside of that half circle or crescent. Really lengthen. Coming up. If you've been staying, releasing with the breath out to the other side. Maybe stay for a few breaths. Again, focusing on keeping length on the inside of the crescent as well as the outside. And coming up with the breath in, releasing the arm down as you exhale. Let's take a breath in and reach the arms up. As you exhale, bend your knees. You can either take your forearms or hands to the thighs or reach toward the ground. Inhale, come all the way up again. Exhale, come down. Couple more at your own pace. If you'd like to stay in the forward bend for a few breaths, stay. If you prefer to keep moving, keep moving. And on the final time, if you're down, you'll lift up with a breath in. And exhale to release. And let's bring the feet in a little closer. Maybe give the body a little shake. Let go of that last series. We'll do another series using Warrior 2 and a bit more side bending here. So you take your feet even perhaps a little bit wider this time. And let's start by taking the left foot and turning it out to the left. So it's straight out, pointing towards the end of your mat. And then bend that knee. So knee and ankle stack over one another. And then as much as possible, the hips are going to be on a bit of an angle towards the knee. Try to bring the shoulders back so that they're facing the direction that you started. If bringing the shoulders back twists the knee in, so if the knee is like this, straight out, and you turn the shoulders and the knee starts to turn, prioritize the knee. So keep the knee pointing straight out and let the shoulders be on a bit of an angle. It's not a problem. So from here, arms out to the sides. This is Warrior 2. In Warrior 2, the gaze is typically over the hand that's corresponding to the leg that's turned out to the side of a bent knee. And then we'll move from Warrior 2 into the reverse warrior and the side angle pose. So basically going side to side. So you can take your right hand to your right leg, turn your left palm up, and reach back, sliding the hand toward the knee. And then as you go the other way, you're coming back to Warrior 2. You can let your forearm come down onto your thigh and reach the other arm straight up or even overhead. The palm would face the floor if it goes overhead. So we'll go side to side like that. The legs stay in the same position, reaching up and over to the opposite side. You can inhale as you lift and exhale as you go to the left, come low. Make this the last one. And this time you could stay in that side angle pose, forearm on the thigh. The right arm could either reach up, or if it's more comfortable for your shoulder, come behind your back. You want to think about that right shoulder lifting up and back. And if you want, again, more stretch, arm over the head, palm facing the ground, and extend from your right foot to your right fingertips. Breathe. Let go of the effort, but stay with the integrity of the pose. Coming up. Warrior two. Straighten your front leg. Turn your feet parallel, lower your arms. Before we do the other side, let's bring the feet together. Give a little shake. And let go of the effort on that side. Maybe feel your body and notice how it feels one side to the other before we switch. And as we begin this next side, or the new side, bringing that attitude of freshness with it. So let go of what you discovered on the other side or any preconceived notions you might have, and come into the pose on this side completely fresh. Right foot turns out, and you're bending the knee, bringing the shoulders back to face the direction they started in, as long as that doesn't compromise the position of the knee. If so, a little bit to the side with the shoulders is fine. Arms out. You can look over your right hand, chin slightly down, and extend. The arm behind you is reaching into the past, the arm ahead of you reaching for the future. This is a beautiful pose to think about standing right in your strength in the middle of those two places, the past and the future, and being right in this moment. Taking the left hand to the left leg, turn the right palm up, and reach back, reverse warrior. And then coming into the side angle pose, the hand or the forearm onto the thigh, other arm reaches up and over, or just up, or if you even stay behind the back. Inhaling, reaching back. Exhaling, the right, or move and breathe freely. And next time you come into the side angle pose, if you like, you can stay. Choose the arm position that works best for you. Either hand behind the back and lifting that shoulder up and back a little. Arm straight up or overhead, palm facing the floor. And again, think about extending that line from the foot to the hand. But you don't need to bring the shoulder up to the ear. You can think about drawing the shoulder down and back. When you're ready, inhale, come up. Warrior two. Feet parallel, arms releasing down. Let's bring the feet in underneath the hips again in Tadasana. Inhale, lift the arms, and at the same time you might lift the heels. That's optional. Exhale, lower the heels, and as you finish your exhale, you can come forward into a forward bend. Let's inhale, hands to knees. Come about halfway up. Find a little arch in your back. And then as you exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, halfway up, find that little bit of arch. Exhale, fold. Let the head go. One more. And this time as you come forward, you might take the forearms or elbows to the thighs, or let the arms hang down, or cross the arms, let the head release. And then from here, you can walk the hands down, either come to downward dog, or you can come to all fours. And then if you're in downward dog, release the knees to the ground. You might do a little more movement, cat-cow, or all fours to child's pose. Or if you're still feeling like you want a bit more stretch, you can alternate in downward dog, as I mentioned earlier, as an option. And if you want to stay in child's pose, if that would feel good to you, to stay for a few breaths, you can go ahead and stay. Wherever you find yourself, tune into your breath and start to bring your attention back to the exhalation. To feel as though as you exhale, you can let go a little bit more. If you're loving child's pose and you're still in child's pose, stay for a few more breaths. We're going to move on to our backs and start to prepare for Shavasana, a little short relaxation. When you get to your back, if you want to cover up, it is really cold out there today, and I can hear the wind kind of howling, and we really want to make sure that you're warm enough. So if you have a blanket or a onesie or something you can cover yourself with to keep nice and warm, you can start to get yourself settled. You're also welcome to do this last part of the class seated, whatever's comfortable. And unlike at the studio, if you want to lie on the couch, you can do that as well. So I'll give you a moment to get yourselves organized, and then we'll begin with our relaxation. So if you're feeling settled, whatever position you're in is fine. Come back to your breath. Come back to a feeling of softening with your exhale, letting go of tension in your body. Notice where you may be holding tension. Bring some ease and softening as you exhale. Feel the weight of your head and allow it to sink down into the mat. Feel the muscles of your face, jaw, and neck relax as you release your head. And then feel the shoulders and arms let go. Feel your hands soften. What are you gripping? What are you holding on to? What in your life could you let go of? What no longer serves you? Feel your hands relax and feel that grip soften. Feel your rib cage sink down as you exhale. Feel Feel your belly and lower back soften. And feel the weight of your pelvis on the ground. Let your hips sink down. Feel the muscles around your hips and pelvis relax. Notice if there's any gripping in the abdomen and soften even more. As you exhale, feel the lower back sink down. Legs, from the thighs, to the knees, to the calves, ankles. All letting go. If your mind is busy, you might use the visualization of thoughts releasing as you exhale. Just imagine them going out as if taken up to sea. Every time you breathe out, and as you continue with each breath to let go a little bit more, I'd like to share one of my favorite chants with you. It's part of a much, much longer chant. It's just one section. It's a really nice flow message. So listen as you continue to relax. Definitely do not expect anyone to know this or chant along. This is really just a little lullaby. Om iti Brahma, Om iti Dagum Sarvam, Om ityetara nukriti asmava, Apyo Shravayetya Shravayanti. Om iti samani gayanti. Ogum shomiti shastrani sagum santi. Om ityadharyuh pratigaram pratigranati. Om iti Brahma prasauti. Om ityagnihodram anujanati. Om iti Brahmana pravaksyannaha Brahmo Bhavavaniti. Brahmaivo Bhavnoti. Om. So when you've let go and you've created space, there's more room for what's new, what's fresh. So start to tune into your inhale now, that energy of drawing in, creating abundance, tuning in. Take a few deeper breaths. Feel your body fill with breath in a way that feels comfortable, not strained. And gradually add a bit of movement. And because you're at home and there's not another class coming to the studio, if you want to stay, here in a pose of Shavasana and or maybe come to sit and do a little meditation, it's a great time to do some mindfulness practice or some journal writing. You want to journal about your experience and insights that may have come to you during the class. It's a great time to do that. And otherwise, I wish you a beautiful day and a year of letting go and creating space for what's fresh, new, and beautiful in your life. Okay. Namaste.